All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the hot Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. 28-13 home victory against the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday afternoon. 3 straight wins, which means they are now the divisional leaders in the AFC South over the Atlanta Falcons. Last year, it was very similar. We'll talk about all this stuff, but Liam Cohen, the new offensive coordinator for Tampa Bay, when Baker is not throwing interceptions and when Baker is keeping it clean and Bucky is healthy, Rashad just had a phenomenal game. Chris Godwin's done for the season, but Jalen McMillan, Cade Otton, Sterling Shepard, dudes are stepping up. You still got Mike Evans. This team, when they are playing good football, I know this sounds stupid, already thinking it sounds stupid and obvious, but when Tampa is clicking offensively, it's very difficult to take them down. And folks, they're currently actually the 5th best scoring team in the National Football League, putting up 27.9 points per game. They're the 8th best rushing attack in the NFL as well, which is crazy because the last several seasons, Tampa Bay has been dead last or hovering at like 30th, 31st in every rushing statistic. They're 6th in passing yards per game. The bigger issues just come down defensively. They're 22nd in opponents' points per game, giving up about 24. But this offense can hang in there with everybody. They truly can. And like I said, when Baker's not fumbling, when he's not throwing interceptions, this is a really hard team to beat. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit bigger picture Tampa Bay because we haven't made a Bucs video in way too long. But before we do, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Bucs fans, it's been a while. I apologize. It's been a while. If we could try and get this video to 100 likes, folks, that would mean the absolute world to me. Beautiful day here in Dunedin, Florida. It has just been phenomenal weather. And Tampa, I get it, their last 3 wins, Vegas, Carolina, the New York Giants. It's a big reason why, nobody really even knows Tampa Bay has won 3-0, and then they look into it and they're like, oh, well, of course they've won their last 3 games. But the bigger picture here is just getting to the playoffs, because once again, Tampa at this time last season was 4-7, won 5 of their last 6 against good teams, won some big time games, and then took down Philly and kept it close against, one of the better teams in the National Football League, in the Detroit Lions. So Baker's not even 30. Jalen McMillan, Cade Otton, Bucky Irvin, the future to me, Kalijah Kancey. Defensively, they got some dogs. Tyke Smith just came back. He had an interception. It's a work in progress. But this Tampa team, they've got some pop here. One big guy who stepped up last week was Rachaad White. Averaged 3.7 yards per carry in his rookie season, 3.6 yards per carry in his sophomore campaign. This year, that number is up to 4.2 yards per carry. On Sunday against the Las Vegas Raiders, 17 attempts, 90 total yards, and a touchdown. He averaged 5.3 yards per carry. He also had 2 catches for 19 yards and a touchdown. He is a really talented back who it appears like just needed a dude like Bucky Irvin next to his side here. Since the start of the 2022 season, Rachaad White joins Christian McCaffrey as the only 2 players in the league with 10+ rushing and receiving touchdowns. Rachaad White and Bucky Irving are also one of 2 running back duos with 800 or more scrimmage yards each this season. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery on the Detroit Lions are the other team. The duo has Tampa's rushing attack right now to top 8 in the NFL, averaging 138.3 rushing yards per game. And it's crazy because 2022 season, Tampa was dead last. 2023 season, Tampa was dead last. Bucky Irving, the 4th round pick out of Oregon, is the leading rusher for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with 735 yards. He's also 5th on the team in receptions with 36 for 300 total yards. And he got banged up in that Vegas game. But as long as he's healthy, fully healthy, or healthy enough for this playoff run, it's a crazy RB duo. And not too many people are talking about it. And we didn't even mention Sean Tucker, who's just kind of this gadget dude, this freak high reward type of guy as my third stringer. He had a good game, only 3 carries, but he had a 34-yarder, so he had 47 total rushing yards against a really good Vegas defense. As a total, Tampa Bay ran the football 26 times for 152 yards and a touchdown. Now, the bigger issues were Baker Mayfield, and Baker said this in his post-game presser. He said, first off, this is December football. This is just how it goes. All I really care about is the win. But he had 2 interceptions and a fumble. He also got sacked 4 times. That Raiders defense, man, they're extremely underrated. Max Crosby is an absolute menace. But Baker went 18 of 29 for 295 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. On the season, he is now up to 13 interceptions, but he has 28 total touchdowns. And just the last couple of weeks, we've been seeing, too many turnovers. And Baker's the type of guy who's gonna have some miscues. I feel like kind of the MO for Baker's entire NFL career is interceptions, and most of them are not even his fault. We go back to his first pick against Vegas. And by the way, the game was really close to being a blowout. And honestly, if you watch that game, I never really felt like Tampa was gonna lose it. I never felt like they were in jeopardy of losing that football game, but Tampa came off red hot. 2 straight touchdowns on their first 2 possessions. It was 14-0 after the first quarter, and they didn't score in the second quarter, and it was because Baker Mayfield threw 2 interceptions. And the first one was just, I forget who the Raider was who picked the ball off, but it was just a phenomenal play. It was on a screen going left to Rashad White, and the defensive edge just kind of backed up, snagged it, tipped it with one hand, and then brought the football down. And that, not as much on Baker Mayfield to me. His second pick in the red zone, Tampa Bay was about to score. His arm gets battered, and it was his second interception. So I'm not concerned with Baker's 13 picks on the season, but I will just say to you, once you start getting into playoff talks, obviously now that you're 7-6 and technically in the playoffs, in like a wild card round of the playoffs, whether it's your fault or not your fault, it's just mistakes, miscues that just can't happen. But you zoom out, and I'm not worried about Baker Mayfield's 13 interceptions on the season because stuff just happens. Defensively, Tyke Smith came back, did an absolutely phenomenal job. He had the first interception for Tampa Bay since week 5 or 6. We just mentioned it's statistically a bottom 10 category in most defensive statistics. And, Levante David's been an absolute stud, the ageless wonder. The bad news is their secondary, and it has been for what feels like the entire season, it's been decimated by injuries. And Antoine Winfield is about to miss a couple of games. So that really sucks. But the good news is, on the road against the Chargers, that's going to be the best team Tampa Bay plays in their Final Four. Then you go on the road in a primetime Sunday night game in Week 16 against Dallas, and then your last 2 games at home against Carolina and New Orleans. 9-8 probably gets you into the playoffs, winning the division, but unfortunately, because of how the first 2 Atlanta games went, if Tampa can go 3-1 here and finish the season 10-7, the hardest game, in my opinion, is going to be Sunday against the Chargers. They're in the playoffs, and from there, anything can happen. So that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Guys, give me your thoughts down below. How many wins do the Buccaneers finish with, and do they make the playoffs? Peace.